What's poppin', everyone? It's your boy Sperato. I've been way too addicted to Master Duel to make Master Duel content. I'm sorry for not uploading it so long, but I promise you there will be more uploads very, very soon. So for now, here is the meat of the content, my Armed Dragon deck that hit Platinum rank in Master Duel. So Plat is the maximum rank, specifically Plat 1. I wasn't able to make Plat 1 with this deck yet. I got to Plat 2, and then I had an unfortunate losing streak right before I was going to rank up into Plat 1, and I'm just kind of over it, so I'm making the profile now. I promise you, if I hit Plat 1 with this deck, I will give you an updated list, but for now, this is what we got to work with. So this is my Armed Dragon deck. The only reason to play this deck right now, and the only reason I did immediately buy this deck, is because I went to the search bar, since this has an OCG-esque ban list, to see if the card was in the set, and the card is here, Pile Armed Dragon. I've been praising this card on the channel for quite some time now, but man, this card like boosts the living Christ out of this deck. It's so good, and I honestly can't play the deck without it anymore. It's just so good. But if you don't know what Pile Armed Dragon does, I'll give you the quick rundown. I also have a longer in-depth video about this card. If you want to check that out, it should be in the description somewhere or at the end of the video. But the quick version is, you discard an Armed Dragon to summon it, that triggers an Armed Dragon effect, and then you send an Armed Dragon from deck to grave as cost to boost its attack, and that'll trigger the other Armed Dragon's effect. So if you take a look, Thunder level 3 will draw you one card. Thunder level 5 searches for a level 5 or higher Wind Dragon monster. You got Tempest, you got Armogram, you got all the Armed Dragons in the world to search with him. He's amazing. You got level 7 to search for any Armed Dragon card in your deck. I usually search Armed Dragon Lightning, which can recur your resources, protect your Armed Dragons, and boost their attack. You can also extend your plays with Armed Dragon Flash. It's just E-Telly for the deck. Or if you're going second, or it's a follow-up turn, you might want to go into Armed Dragon level 10 white, just a big beat stick that you can special summon for free pretty much, and it pops the card during the damage step, non-targeting, or you can go into rank 10 XCs. So right off the bat, you can see why Pile Armed Dragon is so good. It gets you a free body on the board that's huge, and it gets you a ton of free surges. However, if you're wondering what exactly the win condition of the deck is, well, it's getting out Thunder level 10 and getting 2 bodies on the board. So Thunder level 10 is your boss monster. If you are unfamiliar with Armed Dragons, this thing has a Dryden effect. You discard a card, target a card during your opponent's turn, pop it, gain 1000 attack. The discard's actually not a bad thing because you can use it to send one of your other Armed Dragons to the graveyard and get a follow-up search like Armogram or Armed Dragon level 10 white, something like that. It can't be taken control of, and you can't be destroyed by battle, and you can get even more protection with it with Return of the Dragon Lords and Armed Dragon Lightning. Unfortunately, all the Armed Dragon effects are a hard once per turn, so you can't trigger all your searches and then level up your Armed Dragons traditionally, so we have to cheat a little bit to get our Armed Dragon Thunder level 10 out. You're going to bring back your 7 from the graveyard and discard once to go into Thunder level 10. The way you do this is with Return of the Dragon Lords. This is the best thing to open with Pile Armed Dragon. This can special summon your Armed Dragon Thunder level 7 from the grave. You discard once, go into Thunder level 10, and then on top of that, if that dragon were to get destroyed, it can be any dragon actually, you can just banish this card instead, whether it's from battle or by card effect. Another crazy part about this card is it's not a hard once per turn on both effects, so it's quite obnoxious when you actually open up multiple. However, as good as this card is, you still have to hard draw. It's up to RNG if you get this or not, and that would be bad deck building if we only relied on this. So we also have Black Metal Dragon to get you into Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, which all of this is searchable through Tempest, the Dragon Ruler of Storms, who can discard a Wind Dragon monster, which can trigger an Armed Dragon effect, fun fact, and that will search for Black Metal or Red MD, depending if you have your normal summon or not. And Red MD is a free special summon from banishing a dragon on your field, and then you can special summon a dragon from grave or hand. So you have a million ways to cheat out your Thunder level 7 to go into your Thunder level 10. You're no longer going through the long, awful lineup of going into 3, then 5, then 7, then 10, and then just dying to an Ash. You don't have to worry about that anymore. Speaking of dying to an Ash Blossom, another great thing about Pile Armed Dragon is, again, that everything he does is for cost. So if you get Impermed, you get Veilered, it does not matter. The important effect to send an Armed Dragon to the graveyard to search for a new card will resolve, and that's all that matters. So if this was the TCG, I'd be playing another out of archetype engine to help boost the deck, because as consistent as Thunder in level 10 and Seals is on the field, sometimes it's not enough to win duels, or sometimes you'll just brick on occasion and you need something to kind of back you up. There's unfortunately nothing to really boost this deck. There's no Dogmatica engine since Nadir is at 1. There's no Fusion Destiny. There's nothing like that. So instead, I decided to opt for a very strong win condition, and that is Artifact Scythe. So if you destroy Artifact Scythe in the spell or trap zone, it will special summon itself onto the field, and then when it's special summoned onto the field, it'll lock your opponent out of the extra deck. I'm sure all of you TCG players are very familiar with this, but maybe people newer to Master Duel don't know about Scythe. This card's insanely good, and the way you trigger this guy off is by popping it with your own Thunder level 10. You just target your Scythe, you pop the Scythe, it special summons out, your opponent has to respond when it's special summoned, because if it resolves, it's a lingering effect. It lasts as long as the turn is, pretty much. Doesn't matter if you negate it later, you have to negate it at that exact moment, and that's what makes it so powerful. The way you get into Artifact Scythe is through the extra deck. You can make an Artifact Dagda by making any 2 monsters with different names, and then when you trigger an effect, it'll trigger this effect to search for your Artifact Dagda and set it directly from your deck onto the field. So the way you do this is you just hold on to your level 7 effect until you make your Artifact Dagda. You activate Thunder level 7, it'll trigger Dagda, and then you'll have Thunder level 10 on the field. You have everything you need to lock your opponent out of the extra deck. The beautiful thing about this though is all of the combo players right now are opting to blind second in Master Duel, as weird as that sounds. Unless they're playing Drytron, of course, because Drytron is basically an FTK if they go first. But the reason for it is because in a best of 1 format, you don't have a side deck and you're going to lose the coin flip a lot. So you have to make sure your deck can go second, and they just kind of embrace it and play a going second version of their deck just so they can win every single time, since they don't have to worry about games 2 and 3. So we're going to punish them for that and make it so they can't play the game, even if they can break our board, which if they do break our board after, you know, not letting them summon at all, it doesn't really matter because we have cards like Arm Dragon level 10 white, Dragoonity, Armogram, and Tempest to special summon out from the grave and swing in for game. The rest of the deck is pretty much staples. You don't really need the Called by the Grave, the Nibirus, the Ash, and the Max C. You can replace these with whatever budget staples you may have. I just find these to be the most effective, especially Max C, but we don't even need to talk about Max C. That card's just nuts. Then we have Ash Blossoms and Called Bys to negate said Max Cs, and the Nibiru is just great because I find myself like 1 every 6 games or something, I'll brick, and I like sitting on Nibiru. It makes me nice and cozy because that buys me pretty much a turn. It's also just a great card to draw into with Maxi and Punish combo players. For the extra deck, you have pretty much Zeus Turbo. You can go into your level 10s, overlay on top with a Lieb, and then go into Zeus for a 4 material Zeus. But also Gustav into Lieb is an OTK because this burns you for 2,000 and this gains 2,000, so it's exactly 8,000 damage. Sky Palace can pop a card and burn them for 1,000. It's pretty good utility. Fortune Tune in the down nerd is just pretty much Zeus fodder, and you can also burn your opponent out of the game with Flare Metal Dragon. Very rare that that situation comes up. You can honestly cut this card, but I think it's a pretty cool play. The Striker Dragons are just in here to trigger the Black Metal Dragon search effect and also fill up your graveyard with dragons for Tempest and Armogram to keep summoning themselves out. Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres is just a solid link to in any dragon deck. You already know how good this card is. You tribute it as cost, quick effect to bounce a face-up card back to your opponent's hand, and then it'll trigger itself in the grave to special summon any dragon from your deck with 0 attack, 0 defense. So you can just summon out Armogram, they swing over it, and then it comes back the next turn, something like that. Or if they bait out the battle phase, you can go into Pile Armed Dragon to set up a nice OTK. Well, not really a 1-turn kill, but you know what I mean. It'll kill your opponent because it boosts the attack of your level 10. Or you can go into level 7 and level up once your turn starts into level 10 if you don't have that established. But again, typically I go into Artifact Dagda because it's a much more powerful card when against combo decks. You have the Nightmares to just kind of pop cards. It's nice removal. It's not really needed in the deck. It's just helpful. And then Appaloosa is just insane in this deck because you can link off Dagda with 2 other monsters to go into a 3 material Appaloosa. It's also just a great follow-up play. If you're not able to kill the opponent after the Scythe block, you can just link everything into an Appaloosa. There's no way they're going to play with a board broken in a 4 material Appaloosa. So there you have it. That's the deck. Overall thoughts, I think this deck is extremely funny. Pile Armed Dragon boosts the consistency of this deck by a ton. The lack of a splashable engine to throw in here does hurt quite a bit though. An Artifact Scythe is not always going to be enough. Sometimes they draw the Call by the Grave to negate it. Sometimes they're just on Trap Eldritch, which is very popular. And that's honestly why I've been struggling to get to Plat 1, because sometimes I have those streaks of having to play against Trap Eldritch. But aside from that, it's a very solid deck. Maybe sometime soon I will try and make a going second build of Armed Dragons, and we'll see how that goes. But anyways, Here's the replays. Enjoy.